Warm greetings. Welcome for online video session. In the last video session, we saw the operating system structures. In that, we saw the services provided by the operating system. Next, we saw about operating system interfaces. In that, command line interpreter and graphical user interfaces. The next topic that we saw is system calls. Then in this video session, we'll see the types of system calls. In that, the various types are there. That is process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, and communication. So before we see the system calls, types of system calls, we'll see the system call parameter passing. How the parameter passed by system calls, what we saw in the C programming, how to pass a parameter, that is passed by reference, passed by reference as well as passed by address. The same way we'll see the how parameter passing in system calls. More information is required than simply identify a system call. Exact type and amount of information vary according to the operating system and call. Three general methods used to pass a parameters to the operating system. Three general methods used to pass parameters to the operating system. There are only three general methods are used to pass the parameter to the operating system. In that, one is simplest, that is pass the parameters in registers. So pass the parameters in registers. So you have studied how to pass a parameter to the register in UP. So usually we'll pass a parameter through the registers. In some cases, maybe more parameters than registers. Parameters stored in a block or table in memory, or an address of the block passed by the parameter in the registers. So usually the parameters are stored in a block or maybe a table or in memory or the address of the block. This approach is taken by the Linux and Solaris operating system. Parameters placed or pushed onto the stack by the program and popped off the stack by the operating system. Parameters are placed, pushed onto the stack, that is using the data structure, that is stack data structure. In there we are using the two operation, push and pop. Push is used to insert an element to the stack and pop is used to pop the element, that is to remove the element from the stack. The same data structures are applied or used in the operating system. Most of the operating system are used data structures, there is various data structure types are used in the operating system. Block and stack methods do not limit the number of length of parameters, that is number or length of the parameters being passed. So you can see here, this is a register. First there is a user program, that is parameter for call. So we are calling the parameter, that is x is representing the passing a parameter for call, and load the address of x. So here one register will be there called x, that is been loading the address and call the system call as a 13. So register x is been, that is stored it in the register, and it is being called the system call. 13, and system call 13 is been called the operating system, and the register X, the address, holding address is been stored, it is stored in the operating system. So uses the parameter from the table X, and code for system call will be executed. So X is a parameters for call, and load the address X. There will be number of registers, and here they call the register called X, and register X, what it has to do the function is being stored in the system call 13. So in the system call 13, it perform the operation what the register X has to perform. Here user program call the parameter X, and it loads the address of the X at this location. So what operation it has to perform, it is been called in the operating system and perform the operation. This is how the parameter passing works in the operating system with the help of the register. So you will be studying in detail operating, there is registers, how the variables are stored in the registers, and how it is called in the there is what per operation has to be performed, and after performing how there is results will be stored in the register, and how we have to call back that results in the program. That will be studied in the operating, that is MUP, that is a microprocessor, in the next subject in the 4th semester itself. So next we move on types of system calls. In the types of system calls, you have process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, communication, and protection. So these are the 6 types of system calls we will study in this textbook, that is in the Galvin textbook. That is prescribed textbook for your BTU syllabus. So system calls actually are grouped into 5 major categories. So whereas protection is a usually we won't recognized as a system call. It's by default it will be there in all the types of operating system. Protection is not considered as a system call. So major 5 categories will be considered as a system call, that is process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, and communication. So we'll see one by one what actually it performs the operation. So process control, actually what it does, it will be there is a commands what actually what it does, the operations are creating a processes, terminating the processes, and anything that is, if the process has to be wait for some more time, then we'll use a wait for time. And if any of the event has to be occur, that is wait signal we will apply, and the wait signal, and allocate and free the memory. If any of the processes is asked for any of the that is resources like memory, or maybe the other devices, input output devices, etc., and if it is wants to be load the variable or a register, that is been all that commands will be stored in the process control, and it load and execute the process. And it can, if the any of the process or a program, even program is also called as a process, if the process has been has to be end normally or abnormally, then process control, it will be helpful to abort the program normally or abnormally. So these are the various functions that can be performed in the process control. There is the system call is made to terminate currently running program abnormally or normally also, or that sometimes programs can run into a problems and cause an error, or dump of memory sometimes taken, and error message generated. So you can see that if you run a program due to some process, there is some error, the pop-up window will pop up. So due to this is how it is possible, because it sends a messages to this operating system. There is process control. Then for that, what message it has to be passed to the user, that system call will be called, and in the pop-up window you can see these are the types of errors that you have has been occurred in your program. Please try to rectify. So these are the messages that we can see in the process control. And usually there are various operating system. They use as a process control. Something like a control card has been used in the bash system operating system, and there is like so many operating system uses a different process control. So in our there is example, we saw there is normally and abnormally how to abort the system, that is and how to load and execute the system, and how to create a process and terminate the processes. And usually in there are there is in DOS, that is Microsoft Windows operating system. Usually they have only one single process. There is single process. Not multitasking, single process, single task system, operating system where exists. At that time, usually there will be a kernel, command line interpreter, and free memory. So if any of the process has to be executed, only one process can execute. We cannot perform any other operations than the one single process you can execute. At that time, if you want to process another task, it is not at all possible in single operating system. There is single task operating system. So to overcome the disadvantages, we used a multitasking operating system. So where you can run a multiple of processes. So in you can see this diagram. You can see this diagram here. That is in the system startup running program, there will be only one process can be executed. So this is a free memory. In this free memory, you can see this that is a DOS operating system. Here only one process can be executed. So there are even still there are a lot of memory, but it can execute only one process. So this is what the problem what we faced in the disk operating system execution. Here you can see here FreeBSD. This is one of the another operating system by the Linux. That is a Berkeley standard something. Berkeley standard operating system. There is it is derived from Berkeley. There is a Unix operating system. You can see here there will be kernel, and you can see there are a number of processes are running parallelly. The number of processes running parallelly, that is multiple programs, or you can call it as a multiple process also. Process will be executing parallelly. So if any of the process got a problem at this location, there is no disturb in this process C as well as process D. So it can perform the operation. But if the process C requires the resources what it is allocated for the process B at that point of time, then process C has to wait till the process B completes its work, even though it has been trapped or it has been aborted due to some problem. The process C has to wait till the process B get executed. Otherwise, if the process B cannot able to perform the task, then the operating system can releases the resources what it all the resources been allocated for B. If the resources allocated to B, if it is requested by C, it can allocate the resources to the any of the processors, or it can be sent back to the table. There is a vector table. Then so process C can perform the operation. So this is what the differences between the multiple programs and a single program operating system. In the single process, single process operating system, you can perform only one process at a time, whereas in the multiple program operating system, you can perform multiple process can be run parallelly. So this is what are the advantages of using a multiple programs. Nowadays there are multiple process operating system will be existing in our market, but earlier days it was only a single operating system where a single process operating system where exists. So it was very difficult to perform a task. So you cannot run parallelly. Even if you want to do a large computation problem, so then it was taking around 1 week time to execute to get a result. Not like how we are getting a result in a fraction of seconds, because we are using a high-end processors as well as high-end RAM memory nowadays. So this is what the one example for the system calls that is process control. Next we have a of course, you can see the process controller, the create process for Windows, and 4 command for create, that is command to create a processor. Exit process is a command for the Unix as well as the Windows, and exit command is used for the system, that is Unix core, and wait for signal object, that is for Windows, and wait for the Unix. So these are the various system calls we are seeing, and you can see here get PID, that is parent ID for the Unix, and get current process ID. Process ID, that is a unique process ID will be there. So for example, you think that you running a number of processes or a program. For each process to run in a the kernel or an operating system, the unique ID will be created for each processor. It is unique. So till a process gets terminated, that process ID cannot be shared to any other processors. So for example, you can see that you have opened a processor, that is word processor, you have opened the Excel, you have opened the web browser, you have opened the WhatsApp, something in a desktop. So for each process, the separate ID will be allocated by the operating systems. So in that that will be unique process ID. So you can see your Windows to create a process ID, they use the command get current process ID, and here get process ID. For timer, they use a set timer, and they set a alarm. Sleep, they use a board, but you can see here case sensitive in Windows, and there is no case sensitive in the Unix. So there are small letters, and you can see here for file management, to create a file you use a create file, and to create a file in Unix you use a open command to open to create a file. To read file you use a read file in Windows, and you read a file in Unix you use a read command. To write a file, to content in a file you use a write file. To write a content in a file you use a write command. Close handle to close a particular process, and you use a close command to use a close the command, that is a file in the, or to close a process in the Unix. Device manipulation, that is uses a set console mode, read console mode, write console, and IO input output control, read and write command. And we saw the information maintenance commands in Windows as well as Unix. In the communication, we will see create a pipe, and there is a pipe in Unix, and create file mapping, and share manage get ID, that is using in Unix, and map view of file in Windows, and mmap, that is mmap used for the Unix. That is protection, set file security, and ch change mode in the Unix. Initialization security description is used in Windows, and umask used in the Unix. Set security descriptor group in Windows, and change the owner, it is in the CHWON, means change owner in the Unix. So these are the list of small system calls used in Windows and Unix. There are a lot of system calls have been used in each there is group categories of the system calls. Here they have showed only around 4 to, that is 3 group, that is they have grouped into each, and they have shown. Yeah, next we'll see the file management. In the file management, what it has to do, system provides a convenient environment for a program. That is environment and execution. They can be divided into file manipulation, status information, file modification, program language support, program loading, execution, and communication. So in the file management, what actually it does? So in the file management, there is the file system we used here to change the there is ownership, or to change, give the information of the system, that is file, etc. for whom the file has to be opened, and for whom for user we have given us a permission to read and to write, etc. All those information being stored in the file management. So next it is a device management. In the device management also there is various processors may need resources to execute, like memory, disk drive, and access to file for the permission. If you want if process A and process B are there, if any one of the user, if you want to ask open a file for this process B, then the permission has to be given by the consult user, and so on. There is so many resources are available. They have to grant and give a control to the corresponding user processors. So otherwise the process will have to wait until the sufficient resources are available. So there is a help of using a device management. In the device management, what it actually does, so lot of operation it can be performed in the device management for requesting a devices and releasing a devices. So for certain there is a device drivers or like input output keyboard, mouse, or opening a file and creating a file, and to read only, and to get the devices and setting an attribute for the devices, etc. So next it is a information maintenance. So information maintenance, if any one of the file has been opened, at what time it has been opened, what is the date, and to set a time. If any of the user wants to the process at particular time or particular time, after that particular time the information there is a maintenance system call as to release the file and to send back to that processor, and to get the system data and set the system data and get the process file, device attributes, etc. And communication, it is used to create and delete a communication connection, and to send and receive a messages from the there is a receiver as well as what to say destination. There is a sender and destination messages, and transfer the status of information, and detach the data from the source to destination. So such type of communication like LAN, MAN, WAN, what are the sort of protocols are used to send a file. That information are all being stored in the system call. So these are the various types of system calls we have seen in the operating system. So most users view the operating system is defined by the system programs. So 1 minute. Various system calls have been used. So next we'll see the system programs. So provide a convenient environment of a program development and execution. Some of them are simply user interfaces to system calls, others are considerably more complex. File management is used to create, delete, copy, rename, print, dump, paste, etc. So these are the information what we saw in the file management. And status information, some ask the system for information, data, time, amount of all these things have been discussed in the previous slide itself. So file modification. In the file modification, there is creating a text editors to create and modify the file, special commands to search the content of the file or perform the transformation of the text. Program language supports compiler, assembler, debugger, interpreters, and even sometimes some other compilers of the other operating system also. Program loading and execution, absolute loader, relocator loaders, linkage editors, overlay loader, debugging the system for high level and machine languages. Communication provides a mechanism for creating a virtual connection among the process, users, and computer systems. So these are the various system calls what we have saw in this topic. Next, we will go for the operating system design and implementation. In the operating, there is of course system programs, file management, status information, file modification, program language support, program loading and execution, and communication. Next we'll see the operating system design and implementation. So design and implementation of operating system is not a solvable. So nowadays there are a lot of operating systems are being designed and in the market. In earlier days there was only one operating system, that is a single process operating system. So at that time it was very difficult to perform a large computation work. So nowadays there are even you can see in even operating, that is mobile also, each and every some certain month it keep on getting updating version. So this is why, because in some operating system won't support the particular for the certain hardware. So to do some large computation, you require the operating system has to get changed, because to perform a large computation you require hardware, supporting this hardware. To support that hardware, operating system has to get changed regular interval of time. So internal structure of different operating system can be very widely. Start by defining the goals and specification. Affect by choice of hardware or type of system. User goal and system goals. And in the user goal, there is operating system should be convenient to use and easy to learn, reliable, safe, and fast. So user goal is the operating system should be convenient. It should not be easy. It should not be difficult to understand by the user. That is the main goal of the operating system, and easy to learn and reliable, and it should be safe, and at the same time it should be fast. Safe in the sense it should be giving security. Nowadays most of the operating system give a security by built-in security. There is no need of installing any there is antivirus to the system. And safe in the sense that this is most of the operating system or your desktop or laptop, it's able to open only by through the biometrics, like giving a voice recognition, face recognition, or even a fingerprint, or even iris recognition. So if you give your fingerprint only, then the operating system, nowadays you can see in your mobile itself, if you give your there is a fingerprint only, then only it's your operating system, that is a mobile can get open. Otherwise it won't. That is the most safe and secure is being given by the Android. System calls, there is a system goal is a operating system should be easy to design, implement, maintenance, as well as flexible, reliable, and error-free and efficient. There should be no error in the operating system. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand how there is a system calls or the program, or the code what is written by the operating system by the end user, who is only able to design an application rather than designing an operating system. So in such a way that operating system has to be designed. The main goal is to user goal and the system goals. So that is the main that is the main intention of designing the operating system. So behind that also, highest design level, there is requirements must be, there is order to specify. That is requirements can be divided into two basic types. That is of course what we saw, the system goals as well as user goals. And there is a in short, no unique solution to the problem of defining the requirement of an operating system. There is wide range of systems in existence, so that different requirements can result in large solutions. So there is of course multi-user. The system must sustainable for those. There is large multi-users, multi-access operating system for IBM mainframes. So specifying and designing an operating system is a highly creative task. So although no textbook can tell you how to do it, generally there is no textbook is there to design how to design an operating system. So there is a software engineers will be developed who are all involved in the field of the operating system. So this is the main this is how the software design and implementation will be done. So operating system design and implementation, an important principle is to, that is policy, what will be done, and mechanism how do it. So main thing, the design and implementation is policy, what will be done, for what purpose you are designing, and how will do it. So mechanism determines how to do some things, policy decide what will be done. So the separation of the policy from mechanism is very important principle. It allows the maximum flexibility if policy decisions are to be changed later. So main policy is what will be done. So what will be done in this means main thing is important flexible policy are likely to change across the places over time. So in worst cases, there is changes in policy would require changes in mechanism also. If you change the policy, even mechanism will also get changes. So generally, mechanisms incentive to change in policy would be more desirable. So change in policy would then require a redefinition only certain parameter of the system. So that's a main thing we have seen in the policy and mechanism. Main thing is what will be done and how do it. That's the main intention of the policy and mechanism. So simple structure of the operating system is there is a multi-process operating system. There is operating system structure we'll see in the next online session. So main thing of the this is what we saw here is what are the system calls and types of system calls. 5 categories of system calls. In the 5 category of system calls, we saw the process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, and communication. And we saw what are the functions of each 5 categories of operating system. And we saw the single user operating system and multi-user operating system. Then we saw about the there is system calls, system programs. In that, file management, status information, file modification, program language support, and program loading and execution communication. Then what we saw the design and implementation of operating system. In that, we saw the design goals, mechanism and policies, and implementation. So next in the online video session, we see the simple structure of the operating system. By that, go through the videos. If you have any doubt, let me know in the online session or in the class. So thank you all.